Welcome back, everybody. On the table today I have an Arisaka Type 38, and you might wonder why a person would have such a relic in their collection, but this one has some special features about it. Mostly its history, and I'm going to go over the history. Briefly, I'll show you the firearm first and go over what makes it special in its own right. Yeah, it's very much a battlefield find, and I'll grab the bayonet, and that's a prime example of why it's almost in relic condition. You can see the amount of rust that's on it. But the internals of the gun are just in amazing condition. Everything works. The bayonet was a Tokyo built bayonet. See if we can get the Arsenal stamp there. You can see the blade, while darkened, there's very little pitting on it. Some pitting, of course. And you can see the rust that I've tried to contain. Everything functions on it. Now, I was able to purchase this firearm as it came to me, rather than me going out and looking for it. A fellow that knows I collect firearms and like to show them to you brought it to me, and the first thing I saw was what you're seeing, a relic M30 or Type 38. Now, the first thing I noticed also, well, actually the second thing, is that it's a carbine rather than a full-length rifle. That in itself makes it a little rarer. There are only about 500,000 these total made, about 250,000 at the Tokyo Arsenal. And you notice that the bayonet matches the rifle in that they were both made in the Tokyo Arsenal. I'll flip my screen around here so we can bring this in, and I can show you a little closer some of the details on the short bayonet. Now, it's not a cut down long rifle. It's a purpose manufactured M38. A quick view up and down, you can see it's a very tight rifle. The that's not a crack. You know, Arisakas, they were built that way with that splice in there. It's actually a dovetail joint, and it's very tight. Flip it around so you can see the other side, and here we see this unique pattern on this side only, almost a leaf pattern. I don't know if it was intentionally put on there or if it lay in a battlefield on some vegetation, or why it has that. It's only on this one side, and it stops exactly halfway over. You can see it does not extend past the halfway point on the rifle. And you can see this side does not have any of it. It just has the typical dark stains from oil. I'll go ahead and open the action up here. You can see it does have an intact mum on it. There we go. And the Type 38 characters. You can see underneath the metal is beautiful. The bore is actually quite nice as far as being not rust free. It actually has a lot of wear on the bore. This is a very much a used firearm. Cock on close. And I'm not going to get into too much more detail than that on the firearm itself, other than that it is a rare carbine, is complete. And it is in relic condition. Now, what makes this special is, let's go back in the history a little bit. It came to me, as I said, from another fella that knows I can collect firearms, and he laid it on my lawn and asked me if I was interested. I said, how much? He said $300. I said, it's pretty rough, I'll give you $100 for it, and he accepted that price. But he then threw out the paperwork for the firearm, and I knew I had a hit then for the $100. And I'm going to bring this into the screen, and this extends the history back a little bit. Let me flip this back around so I can see you again. This is the bring back paperwork that came with the firearm. The serial number does match the gun. As you can see, it's dated 20th September 1946. From, you can see, I'll let you read it, Headquarters Replacement and Disposition Command, APO, which is Army Post Office 900, which is Manila, Singapore. And if you know your history, we know there was quite a bit of fighting there because the Japanese dug in, because it's a walled city, a very defensible position. And you can see the Robert E. Dobbins, he was a corporal. T5 would be a corporal. So I was able to research Robert Dobbins a little bit more. You can see one Jap rifle, the serial number which matches the rifle, and a Jap bayonet. Bear was on duty in the Pacific Theater prior to VJ Day, and then assigned by the commanding officer, and stamped, dispatched, 20th September 1946. Now I was able to locate Robert Dobbins, and he actually turned out to be a fellow my wife had worked with. He has died some years ago, and she did not even realize he was a veteran. So he went on to serve as in Korea also, when Korea became the next hot item on the war list. But that makes this gun have a lot more special significance to me, and its history is just fascinating. Being able to realize that this possibly was a battlefield or taken off a soldier pickup, and that it even exists in my collection is just amazing to me. Now, if you have any ideas on why this modeling occurs on the stock, I'd be interested to know. If it was placed there on purpose, if it possibly could be stained. You can see it's kind of a leaf pattern. It'd be real interesting to know if maybe this was laying in a jungle somewhere for some time due to the amount of rust and pitting on the gun. I'm sure it could be fired. Of course, it is in the 6.5 Japanese round. I doubt I will ever fire it. But what an interesting piece of history. I'll show you the close-up of the sights. So there you have it. A very interesting T38 carbine in its own right. Made even more special by the fact that the bring back papers are present on it, and I even met the fella at a couple of Christmas parties before he passed away, not realizing that he was a veteran of World War II in Korea, and not only that, was awarded some significant medals from those conflicts. So one of my most prized yet most ugly firearms in the collection. Just let you soak in the history that's laying there. And with that, we'll sign off and say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.